All right, so today on my cooking vlog, we're gonna do Mexican quinoa. So this was a dish that I learned from the place where I work. They have a cafeteria, a restaurant there, and this is a dish that they make, and I really like it. So first, what we're gonna do is this is a healthy meal, and I'm gonna go through the preparation. So first, I made some quinoa, just simple. It's just like cooking rice. Then I chop up some fresh cherry tomatoes, some bell peppers. I drained a can of black beans, put that there. I have a spring mix. Typically I only use spinach only, but this has spinach included in it, so I'm just going to use this today. This is our vinaigrette, which this is what makes the quinoa, which is the lime juice, olive oil, and a little bit of cumin. And then over here, I've prepared my own blackened seasoning. I have some butter that I'm going to use for the salmon. And what we're going to do is we're going to blacken the salmon first. Then after that, we'll mix everything together here and make the quinoa. And then I'll carve up some avocado there at the end, place it on the plate, and it'll be a finished meal. So I just kind of wanted you to see it's very simple preparation. The only thing you really have to cook beforehand is the quinoa, and everything else is ready to go, and then we'll heat it up in the pan here afterwards. So now I'm going to blacken the salmon. All right, so in blackening the salmon, I get some butter, and I'm going to put it on the pan here. I like to use a cast iron for blackening. Try to give a good crust there. Use a generous portion of butter here, and we'll let that melt for a second. Trying to get it everywhere in the pan. And a nice thing for cooking for butter is to use the big blocks. And I do sometimes use a little bit of olive oil just to make sure that I have enough, just enough oil in there. Not too much. You don't need a lot, but just a little bit. All right, let me mix it around. The butter. Okay. What we're going to do is I got the blackened seasoning that I had put together from these ingredients. Very simple blackening recipe. You can look up on online. There's plenty of them out there. So I'm going to sprinkle this over all the salmon here. Turn that over here in a second. Okay. We'll do both sides. And let me get all these turned over. Okay, spread this evenly. And another thing that I like to do for the vinaigrette is if I have enough blackening seasoning, what I'll do is I'll even put a little bit in the vinaigrette, and I'll show you how I'm going to use the vinaigrette here in a little bit. But this seasoning is great. It's not too spicy, not too salty. It's just a really nice balance. So coat everything, and then another thing that I do is after I get all the butter in there that I'm going to need, I like to try to place it right on some butter. You want to make sure it's good and covered. Alright, just make sure it's real smooth and covered in here. I like to cover almost every portion of the salmon. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and let that there. I'm going to put some butter on the top of the salmon as well. Get that melted. I like to use plenty of butter when I'm blackening the salmon here. And we'll put a little bit on each one and just make sure we don't run out. Alright, we'll get that going. I'll blacken both sides. Once we get all the salmon blackened, then we'll make the quinoa finally. Alright, so the salmon has been blackened. I blackened all the pieces, got that ready to go. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to make the Mexican quinoa itself. I've already prepared the quinoa. And so I typically like to do this fresh. So what I'll do is everything else that I don't use today, I'm just going to put in the fridge because I like to do this fresh, because if not, the spinach and stuff will get soggy, and no one likes that. So it's better just to do it all fresh right now. I'll save these chopped ingredients here, and I'll have these ready for tomorrow. The bell peppers in there. Right. Put the black beans in there.
What are you doing?
Alright. And this would be a very basic meal with not much flavoring if the vinaigrette didn't tie it all together. The vinaigrette is what really makes this. You gotta have the vinaigrette. If not, it will be pretty bland in my opinion. But so this is lime juice and olive oil, a little bit of white vinegar, and then cumin. And then if I have any blackened seasoning left over, sometimes I'll just put a little bit, but not a lot. And you don't want to put too much to make it soggy. So basically, you want enough in there to coat everything, but you don't want to use the whole thing. You want to and you got to stir it up really good. And once you get it all in there, then you come in here and just make sure that the vinaigrette covers all the quinoa, covers all the vegetables. I really don't even like to wilt the spinach very much. I don't, because once it wilts, it gets a little bit mushy. And so really it's just to heat it all up, especially if it was in the fridge, and coat everything, evaporate any of the excess oil, and that way you don't have like this pool of vinaigrette at the bottom, because it'll make it soggy and you won't like it. And so just coat everything and make sure it's hot, because it is good hot. And so I just let it go sit there. I'm just going to let it sit here for a couple minutes, and then we will take our salmon. I'm going to put that, I already blackened the salmon. Now sometimes what you can do is, since I just cooked the salmon, it's already hot, so I don't need to mix it in here. But if your salmon was made the previous day, then go ahead and mix the salmon in here and chop it up with the vinaigrette. It's perfect just that way. I'll also carve out some, while that's doing that, carve out some avocado, because avocado really is really nice. It's just a really nice balance to the citrusy flavor of the vinaigrette. You'll really like it. And another thing I noticed about the blackened seasoning is the blackened seasoning, to me, takes out the fishiness from the salmon. So you don't get a strong, fishy smell or taste there. We'll set this over here. Keep it going. Try to evaporate just a little bit more of that any of the vinaigrette off. Another thing that you can do is you can put the spinach in right at the end. Today I just threw it all in. If you don't want it to wilt at all, you just want it just to put a coating on it, put everything in except for the spinach. And at the very end, then throw the greens in, get it to mix in, and that'll do it. Spoon some of this in here. Ooh, pretty hot. Really makes the colors fresh and bright. So this is the final product here. And like I said, you want to eat it hot. Mix in the avocado, mix in the salmon, however you like to do it. But I think you really like this dish. It's a healthy dish. It's a fresh dish, and it's got a lot of flavor and not a lot of calories. So, all right, I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.